What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave, and it is good to be back. It's been several days, of course, with Christmas break, and it was a nice break to have, but you're ready to get back to it with all the video game news. Hopefully everyone out there enjoyed their time off or just their weekend. But today we do have a lot to go over, which does include chaos erupting at Ubisoft, all kinds of situations and things leaking out, hacking occurring, ransomware, it's all over the place, and we're going to go over that here today. Also, we are going to be talking about a Switch 2 edition that has appeared early through the ratings board and has caused a number of reactions because it's going back to the Wii U days. And we'll also be talking about PlayStation Network with something being discovered that is a bit concerning as to how easy it is technically for you to just randomly use your account if you post a certain thing online, all of that and more. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button, helps that a ton. And if you're new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. Guys, we're here every weekday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, covering the world of gaming news. So if you want to keep up to date, check back here. Even if you don't get a notification, there's probably a video here for you in the morning. And we're going to start today with a follow-up to, you can see here, This is a follow-up to the Game Boy operator. This is the SN operator, and as you can see by the image, yeah, it's for the Super Nintendo. The idea here being you can pop your cartridges into this device and then connect it to your computer, and you can then pull the entire cartridge image or the ROM dump to your PC, as well as your save files. That is very handy, especially if you need to replace, say, the battery inside of the cartridge. It's a way to save and then put your save back on the cartridge after replacing the battery. Otherwise, you just completely erase it. And another really cool thing that it says it can do, it can detect counterfeit cartridges. So just something else, nice little perk there. But this obviously be for people who have big collections and want to go ahead and preserve it in digital form. It's currently going at the price of $60. Pre-orders will start December 30th, 9 a.m. Pacific time, and they're planning to ship it out April 2026. I do have the GB operator for Game Boy games, and it works really well, so I'll certainly be looking into this for all those Super Nintendo cartridges I have up on the shelf. Also, it looks like a big upcoming game could also be getting a Switch 2 version. Now, this was noticed by many people online and originated here. You can see this is over on the Reddit Gaming Leaks and Rumors page, and they mentioned High on Life 2 being spotted at multiple retailers online in Europe for the Switch 2, and it doesn't seem too surprising to me to hear about this because High on Life 1 did get a Switch 2 version. I mean, it was like an upgrade from the Switch 1 version, but it did leverage the newer hardware we have with the Switch 2. And we have been kind of seeing this right now. High on Life 2 comes out in February, and it sort of reminds me a little bit of the situation with Resident Evil 9, where all of a sudden there was a Switch 2 version. Capcom has been doing this a bit more, but with High on Life 2, seems to me like maybe something that would come later on, a few months even, as again, we're kind of up against it now, it coming out in, 2 months, less than 2 months now. So I would look forward to maybe some kind of announcement on social media or maybe in a future Nintendo Direct. Although if it's already showing up online at retailers, honestly, it could get announced at any time now. Oh, and just in case you missed it, Stardew Valley did get its Switch 2 upgrade, or Switch 2 edition. And we also had some information around bugs that were going on with it, but you can see over on Nintendo Life. And some of the features that are mentioned here includes mouse controls, 4-player split screen, 8-player online multiplayer, and it leverages Game Share, which is great because I want to see more and more games use Game Share to where if one person has a copy of the game, multiple people can then use that or tether off of that copy of the game and play with their friends here. So that really cool stuff. Now this is a free upgrade, so if you already have Stardew Valley on your Switch 1, you should be able to then jump right to the Switch 2 version. Now the creator of Stardew Valley has already mentioned they are aware of some of the bugs or issues that are being reported for the Switch 2 edition, and they say they take full responsibility for the mistake and they will fix it as soon as possible. So fret not if you have the game and you're noticing some issues, seemingly with multiplayer. That's what's being pointed out the most. It appears they're on top of it, and hopefully they'll be able to sort all of that out here pretty soon. But otherwise, hey, Stardew Valley, free upgrade to the Switch 2, check it out. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with chaos erupting at Ubisoft. Now, there were two main stories around hacking that's occurred within Ubisoft. One has to do with Rainbow Six Siege, and the other one has to do with just apparently Ubisoft leaking out hundreds of gigabytes worth of source code and files and unannounced games. It's all over the place there, but we'll start with Rainbow Six Siege, and this we can see. This is over on Tom's Hardware. It says there have been numerous reports of players receiving 2 billion Rainbow Six credits and renown, as well as developer-only skins and glaciers, one of the rarest weapon skins in the game. There have also been claims of random bans and unbans affecting everyone from ordinary players to high-profile and streamer accounts. So I mean, I guess it could be worse. Like, oh, you show up and there's 2 billion credits there. Oh no. But I mean, the issue you'd run into is if you start spending that credits like crazy, it could look like you're in on it, or it could just be them thinking you're more or less exploiting the system overall. However, we did have the Rainbow Six Siege account, the official account, start to talk about this, saying they were aware of it, and they went on to explain, saying nobody will be banned for spending credits received. A rollback of all transactions that occurred since 11 a.m. is underway. The ban ticker was turned off in a past update. Any messages seen were not triggered by us, and an official R6 Shield Guard ban wave did occur, but is not related to this incident. At the time of this recording, Rainbow Six Siege, it still appears to be down with just unplanned outages over on their server status across the board from PC to PlayStation to Xbox. They did say that they are starting to soft launch some I guess servers here and there throughout the night. So maybe by the morning, it'll hopefully be more stable and just up so people can play the game. It's very odd that it got to this position where Ubisoft had to just take the entire game down, and people were just getting a ton of credits and getting banned and unbanned. It was all over the place. So it seems like with the rollback, you'll just kind of go back to almost a previous save state, if you will. Even if you spend all those credits, your account will just look like how it was, I guess, a couple of days ago. The other thing, though, that's very pressing right now, and people are kind of unsure as to which way to go with this one, because it's not too clear how truthful this part is, but like you can see, this is over on social media on Twitter X from Zephyrs, who says Ubisoft may be in serious trouble. All upcoming Ubisoft games could be leaked very soon if recent reports are true. Hackers have allegedly exfiltrated the source code for all Ubisoft products from the 1990s to the present day, including games, Uplay, and more. Now, that can become a bit concerning, because when you talk about Uplay or customer accounts, there's privacy and obviously customer information and data that could be passed around on the dark web. That's problematic. They say that for 48 hours, the attackers reportedly had access to over 900 gigabytes of data, and the victims are said to be Ubisoft and Crytek. Okay, so clearly you're going to have a lot of information that could be dumped. We've seen Terror Leaks, we've seen Capcom. It's not something that has, or Insomniac even, this has happened before, but it can at times be kind of unclear, because the idea would be the group that is responsible for taking this data then wants to ransom it back, right? So it's a ransom group, and they look to make millions and millions of dollars on it if the company folds and pays out, which means they have incentive to kind of oversell it. Like, look at all the stuff we got, and they'll just kind of throw it out there with like screenshots and a few things here and there to attempt to prove it. But we're not necessarily sure if this is all exactly as is being described. So over on Insider Gaming, we can see with that large data breach in question, sources within Ubisoft have told Insider Gaming that the company's security team have been made aware of some breaches earlier this year following leaks surrounding projects such as Scout and the since canceled Far Cry game. Another group that claimed to have breached user information has since backtracked, saying that it was false. And according to sources familiar with some of the groups who allege such breaches, they say that the hacks were blown way out of proportion and some individuals just wanted clout from the hack that made headlines. So that's the other thing. As headlines start to get out there about Ubisoft with the Rainbow Six Siege hack that's happened, where they did have to legitimately pull the game down, they can kind of piggyback off that and say, oh yeah, we also hacked into Ubisoft's back end and we stole this information and we want to sell it back to them. Again, you have to kind of overblow it a bit, whereas they could have some very basic website data or something off of Ubisoft. So really the way that they could prove it is if they do just start leaking out parts of the information they've taken. Like if they have some serious source code of a game that was canceled a long time ago, or unannounced games, and all of a sudden here's 50 gigabytes worth of stuff and we're just dropping it online. You can look through it for yourself. That'll be obviously them being able to prove it, whereas now they're just kind of taking their word for it and them trying to be a bit of a salesman back to Ubisoft. So for now, Rainbow Six Siege, we'll see when that comes back up, and we'll see if we get any more information around this apparent 900 gigabyte leak that happened or hack that's happened here, and if that ransom group does indeed actually have that kind of information from Ubisoft. Next up, let's talk about a Switch 1 game that appears set up to get that Switch 2 enhancement. And when this popped up, obviously, a lot of people were like, Nintendo, what are you doing right now? But there's a bit more to the story with exactly how it's been rated, and that's for Pikmin 3 Deluxe, which is already funny because, yes, we're talking about what at its core is a Wii U game. So it came out on the Wii U, and then years later comes the Switch 1 through a port, which there were people who were very happy. Like, oh, great, this is a game that was on the Wii U. Not a lot of people bought the Wii U. Good to have Pikmin 3, and then also 1 and 2 all available on the Switch. Makes sense. But then you go, oh yeah, now we're going to do a Switch 2 version of the game. Are they going to sell this game again? Well, like we can see, this is over on Komatsu. And they do show the screenshot here of it being rated in Europe, all right? And it has the 3 rating, which is about right. And you can see under the release dates and platforms, we have Switch and then Switch 2, with it just being rated this weekend. So here's the thing. If it was going to be a full Switch 2 edition that would charge more money, because that's clearly what people are thinking, is like, are they going to throw $10 more on top of this? $20 more if maybe that DLC or something? The way I'm looking at it here with the release dates and platforms, this would fall under the category of like the Switch 2 enhancements that would be like the free patch or free enhancements. And we can kind of look at other examples of this. So if you look at something like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, those just have outright Switch 2 enhanced versions, like new rated versions of it that just say Switch 2. But if you look at things like Mario Odyssey or Echoes of Wisdom, it has a very similar setup as here with Pikmin 3 Deluxe, where it's just listed directly below that Switch 1 version that was under release dates and platforms. So that's what I'm assuming. And you can look at it as mouse controls or resolution frame rate bumps. All that kind of stuff would, I assume, be on the table for, again, a Wii U version of the game or Wii U game. But the thing to me is, man, this is the one, Nintendo? I mean, it's not necessarily stopping them from doing other editions, and this is something I would like to see them do anyway. Go back to some of these Switch 1 games and do the free enhancement patches. That's awesome. I'd like to see more. But they haven't exactly been like rapid firing these things out. So when you see something like this happen, so we'll say it's not a paid upgrade version, it's part of a free patch. Does that mean then we have to wait another month or two for, I don't know, Xenoblade Chronicles X to get a 60 FPS patch? I've been waiting for a while, ever since that, like the code in the launcher or whatever for the game was found when it was data mined and it said 60 FPS. I'm like, come on, Nintendo, unlock that game. It looks good enough on the Switch 1. It just feels very sluggish because it's 30 frames per second, and I would like to see the game very, very smooth, even in its current form now. But I mean, they could also bump the resolution and stuff. It's an awesome game, and I would just like to see that Switch 2 enhancement here rather than with Pikmin 3 Deluxe. But if it's free, it's like, well, it's kind of hard to argue with that. That's just how I'm looking at it now. They could always surprise everyone and go, oh yeah, we also have DLC and we're gonna charge for it. But for now, I'm expecting the free enhancement update. It's just odd, right? Pikmin 3 Deluxe, Wii U, Switch 1, and Switch 2. Nintendo is really dragging out this third Pikmin game. Next up, let's talk about something kind of concerning for PlayStation Network when it comes to people being able to basically recover your account and then just start buying stuff on it. I mean, a form of social engineering for the most part, because it does come down to one piece of information that a person may post without even thinking about it, because it's odd that this would be the key to unlock your account to customer service. Now, this was noticed, and we can see, this is over on a site called Numerama, and in this article, the person tells the story about how their account was hijacked multiple times by just a random person. And eventually they decided, okay, my account keeps getting taken over randomly. I don't know what's happening here. They must have my password or something. Well, it turns out they decide, after like the third time of this happening, bypassing two-factor authentication, everything, by the way, they just decide to message their account when it was taken over. And funny enough, the person who did take the account started eventually talking to them about it and explained what happened. And it comes down to this person on social media posting a transaction ID from a purchase they made on the PlayStation Store. And that's all it took. So when you call into customer service on PlayStation and you want to recover your account, apparently they ask for your PlayStation user ID. Makes sense, they need to know who they're talking to. And then a previous or recent transaction ID. And that's it? Like, there's no... So if you call into other things, they may ask for... And I know it can be more sensitive data, like, oh, you call into your bank. Yeah, they ask you a ton of questions because they got to make sure it's you. But a lot of these accounts have your bank card tied to it, as this person started to notice just multiple charges happening after the account was taken over. But they would ask for your birthday, your address, your phone number, full name, something, right? Not the case with Sony, and this is very weird, as the person said that they were unable to kind of explain to Sony, hey, this is a problem, guys. You should maybe figure this one out. So I don't know if Sony's now going to look into this more and be a bit more stringent with security. It's just surprising that this is all it takes to recover an account. So if if you see someone post transaction ID, you might want to let them know, hey, you should probably pull that down, because if a person can then also get your PlayStation ID, which many times for people is somewhere online, if they're on YouTube or on Facebook or Twitter X or wherever, it might be in their bio or something, just, instantly enough, hey, go ahead, friend request me or whatever. But you pair up the transaction ID with that, all of a sudden, apparently you can just take over the account and just start buying stuff. So just a heads up and a bit of a warning, don't post any transaction IDs, at least not until Sony gets stuff figured out. And even then, don't post transaction IDs because it's really not necessary. Anyway, you can kind of blur it out, cut it out, whatever. Most of the time, people just want to post that they maybe picked up a game or something, and the transaction ID that just seems innocent enough is at the bottom of that message. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about another leak. There's a lot of leaks that happened over the holiday break, over the weekend, but this one in particular is very interesting because it's been an ongoing thing for a while, so long in fact, and it's so important to gaming history for people, it's really just embedded in their memory, that it's been recreated completely in the Halo Master Chief Collection on PC. This has to do with that Halo 2 demo that happened at E3. What's more than 20 years ago now. It has actually leaked out. Like the files themselves, the stuff that you could then load up on an Xbox, or in some cases on PC. They're out there. We can see this though. It's over on Clawsome Gamer. They say the full Halo 2 E3 2003 demo build for original Xbox has leaked. That includes the May 3rd pre-E3 tools and assets. Then the May 11th playable prototype reveals scrapped Earth City demo, test maps, levels, raw audio, early lean mechanics. That's kind of cool. The Combat Evolved placeholders, all kinds of stuff here. And this seemed to just show up randomly on 4chan. I know stuff just shows up on 4chan, stuff said on 4chan, rumors are started there, and people just kind of brush them off. But then people start actually looking at this and they're like, oh, no, this is actually a thing. Someone showed up and decided to just dump all of these files online. People were downloading it. They say they've been preserving them, verifying them, and even posting videos online of them booting up these files on an original Xbox, which is where you need to go to, according to them, to get a lot of the lighting effects and other things that won't necessarily be activated on PC, where people are able to load it as well. So really cool stuff. I maybe I'll try it out. I don't know. We'll see. I'm still unsure as to how Microsoft is going to respond to this exactly, because we don't know the backstory about how those files ended up online. They can be with malicious intent. They can be stolen. So who knows how they're going to deal with maybe videos that go up showing this stuff off. It could all of a sudden be hit with a bunch of blocked and copyright takedowns and stuff. So I'm going to let this settle and see how things go. And then maybe here in the future, we can take a look at this Halo 2 demo from E3 more than 20 years ago, finally being able to relive it, even outside of what was a really well done recreation in the Halo Master Chief Collection. No, this would be the real deal. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday. And it is Game of the Year Madness, Day 10, Citizen Sleeper 2 versus The Alters, and Citizen Sleeper 2 took it. The thing I really like though, again, going through the comments, a lot of people are like, whoa, I didn't know about either of these games, but I'm looking up The Alters and it looks really interesting. Or I'm looking up Citizen Sleeper 2 and that looks kind of different. Okay. And again, that's the point of this. All the games you're seeing are highly rated titles pretty much across the board online right now. The top 32 games is what you're seeing in these poll results, and it's pretty cool. And I will say, I played some of the Alters. It gets very, very different kind of game. Didn't really play Citizen Sleeper 2, but as I was going through and making the list, I was like, maybe I'll look into this a bit more. So there's so many games out there. It's basically impossible to be able to keep up and play everything. So sometimes it's fun to get a reminder as to a game that was highly rated that might be worth looking into down the line, or even maybe to close out the year here. Oh, and if there was any doubt, we had another poll with Expedition 33 versus Octopath Traveler 0, and go figure, Expedition 33 won. I don't think there's any real surprise there at all. This is a game that's gonna be interesting to see its time rolling, I assume, through the next several rounds. But could something upset it? That's the thing I'm really curious to see. And we'll finish up with the comments of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Boarding, who says, part of me hopes that higher-end hardware being really hard to come by will drive developers to stop pushing graphics to the limit while ignoring the rest of the product. I mean, I think graphics are always going to be important just across the board. It's the first thing you see when you look at a game, and immediately, whether you realize it or not, there is kind of a snap judgment when you first look at a game, right? You're like, ooh, or, oh, okay, that's cool. But in this case, you're right about the side of optimization, because if a lot of these publishers realize, wow, 8 gigabytes of VRAM is kind of the roof right now for most of the market, especially since the Steam machine that we believe is still launching at the beginning of this year coming up in 2026 with 8 gigabytes of VRAM. Again, we'll see how the RAM stuff all works out with the current squeeze. Maybe they start to look around and go, we need to optimize for a build like that, as opposed to, oh, y'all have like, everyone has 4080s and 5080s, right? Oh, we're good. Don't worry about it. Plenty of VRAM to go around. I was like, not really. So I wouldn't mind seeing that where they can optimize, whether it's around visuals or just whatever else, just more time developing and trying to make the game lighter even on lower powered systems. That would just be awesome, even going further into the future with this, maybe this period of like 4 or 5 years of just really well optimized games. And we'll see. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. If you missed last week's Newswave, it was a while ago, but I'll leave it up here in a card. Or maybe you wanted to hear more about the direction of the gaming industry right now with a lot of the prices around hardware going up and maybe even a push to renting your games and your system through the cloud. I'll leave that right below it. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.